The NBA trade deadline is in March, but James Harden essentially last night told the fans, listen, I have literally given you everything I got. What more do you want from me?
Which is not good enough. Obviously, chemistry, talent-wise, just everything, and it was clear. Like I said, these last few games, from the beginning of the game, they were just aggressive, veteran team, obviously, championship team, and one of the best teams that we have in this league. I love this city. I literally have done everything that I can. I mean, this situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, yeah, thanks.
Jay?
Demanded a trade. The first time was nonverbal when he turned down the $50 million a year extension. $50 million a year extension. He turned it down, said, nah, I'm good. I don't want the money. I'm trying to be out. Now he actually verbalized that, telling everybody, look, I don't want to be here. It's only 10 games into the season. 10 games into the season, Key. What's going to happen when we get to 20, when we get to 30? Raphael Stone, they need to really highly consider how chaotic and how problematic this is going to be if this continues.
Yeah, I think they're gonna move him at some point. They're just waiting for the right deal that's out there to come to fruition. I'm sure, and this is the first time verbally, much like you mentioned, that he said something. And again, I'll go back to one of my biggest things is when a player finally says that he doesn't want to be there, it's time for the organization to part ways, and I think they will at some point in time very soon.
The last thing I would say about this, we have all praised the new head coach, Stephen Silas, who was put in a nearly untenable position. We have all praised the general manager, Raphael Stone, as was mentioned there by Jay, coming in, waiting to get the right opportunity. But this is one of those moments in sports, and I'm giving these dudes the benefit of the doubt. They're in those positions for a reason. But this is the reason where sometimes a little gray behind the temples and having some experience at either the head coach or the general manager position is vital. This is going to be the biggest asset they either move or get back in return, no matter how long these guys are in their positions. That's how talented Harden is. And right now, if somebody that's pulling the trigger has never been a head coach and never been a GM, you just got to step back and say, you're in this job for a reason, but I'm a little bit nervous. I'd rather have somebody that's been there and done that. Just my opinion.
And Zubin, it could work out in their favor. Just consider there are a lot of teams in Eastern Conference right now that are going through injuries, that are going through COVID, COVID protocol. A lot of players missing time. So if you want to make a move in the East, it might work out in Raphael Stone's favor, but there's no doubt there's a time crunch.
You got it. In 20 minutes, by the way, we'll talk to the front office insider, Bobby Marks, spent over 20 years in NBA front offices, and the Rockets are a singular problem. The league has a collective problem. Like, are we going to make it to next week? We'll talk about that with Bobby Marks coming up.
After the game, Harden separated himself further from the Rockets. There have been reports that Harden wants a trade. Tuesday night, he put it out there, plainly.
Which is not good enough. We don't. Obviously, chemistry, talent-wise, just everything, and it was clear. Like I said, these last few games.
When the 1 through 15 guys all on the same page, they commit, they know their role, they know what they want to do, they know what they want to get out of this. That's the win. You all will be fine. But when you have certain guys in the mix that don't want to buy in all as one, it's going to be hard to do anything special, do anything good as a basketball team.
I mean, the situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, yeah.
We can't dwell down on it because it's only been 9 games. Like, come on, man. You want to jump off the cliff off of 9 games? There's a lot of basketball still be played.
Let's bring in Tim McMahon. He covers the Rockets for us. Tim, John Wall also said when you have guys in the mix that aren't buying in, it's going to be hard. I think we know who he was talking about. What's it like in that locker room now with all this turmoil?
Well, look, obviously, this is a situation that James Harden did not want to be part of. He felt that the Rockets were not good enough to be legitimate contenders. That's why he wanted out before the season. And in his mind, he's been proven right. They're 3-6. They're a half game out of the worst record in the Western Conference. Of course, there's been a lot of chaos, largely caused by James Harden's unhappiness and unwillingness to follow some of the rules early on, to report to camp on time. And look, of course the Rockets aren't going to be anything close to a contender when James Harden's not anything close to an MVP caliber player. which he has not been during these 4 losses in the last 5 games.
Of their options, Tim, which one do you think they go with? Do they keep him in the lineup playing at less than his best? Do they sit him down? Do they try to trade him immediately? Because it seems like they're stuck right now.
Well, look, this James Harden being unhappy and expressing that publicly changes nothing. It's not like it's breaking news. Oh, wow, the Rockets front office just found out James Harden wants out. Well, duh. It's just the first time he's admitted it publicly, but he didn't. Everybody in the world knows James Harden's unhappy. That doesn't change anything. They're not going to sit him out. You know, they're not going to rush into a trade that they feel like is 60 cents on the dollar. They have been talking with several teams. They will continue talking with teams. When an offer is made that they feel like is fair value for a perennial MVP candidate in his prime, the Rockets are ready to pull the trigger, but they are not going to be rushed just because James Harden has finally admitted to the world what we all knew anyway.
All right, Tim, we on the road. Everything the Rockets threw up, the Lakers swatted away. They had 12 block shots, 4 blocks in the first quarter. It was 35-14 after 1. Are you enjoying the movie? No. Second quarter. Here comes a LeBron James moment that Stan said Twitter's blowing up, man. Twitter's blowing up. You got to see what happened with LeBron James. He's gonna go to the corner, and nobody puts baby in the corner. And LeBron James does that. Shoots, turns, and boom. I mean, I think it was Steph Curry who did that the first time we saw it in a highlight.
So you're going to get on Twitter now?
No chance. But look at that. LeBron James, ball in air, turns around, said something to the fellas on the bench. What was it?
Who was the teammate?
Dennis the Menace. He said, bet you won't make it. And in order to make a bet official, you either got to have a handshake or you got to look him in the eye. So he said, bet it. And I turned around, looked him in the eye, and I said, bet it.
I want to know what you collect. All right, now we're collecting misery with James Harden, who went 5 for 16, 1 for 6 from 3, under 20 points in 4 straight games, first time as a Rocket. A lot of unhappy Texans. It's 117-100. Lakers.
We're just not good enough. You know, we don't. Obviously, chemistry, talent-wise, just everything, and it was clear. Like I said, these last few games, I love this city. I literally, have done everything that I can. I mean, the situation is crazy. It's something that I don't think can be fixed. So, yeah, thanks.
Woo! Since Houston took a 1-0 lead over the Lakers in the conference semis, Lakers have wiped the floor with them. LA has won each of its last 6 by more than 14 per. LA has spent 58% of those minutes leading by double digits. Houston has only held the lead for 10 seconds total in their last 4 games. Bring in Adrian Wojnarowski, and listen, it's no secret that James Harden wanted out of Houston. He made that very clear already, but how does Tuesday's comments push that envelope?
Well, this has been a clinic in how to try to force an organization's hand, underperform on the court. The way James Harden has done lately. Your team gets blown out, and then to go into a news conference and talk that way as Harden did tonight. Houston has been engaged with teams about trade scenarios with James Harden very consistently since he asked for a trade. Certainly their price remains steep. They want, good young players. They want first-round picks. They want pick swaps. And while, I think there's still several teams seriously engaged, Houston has yet to see the deal, that would allow them to make a trade. But these things can come together quickly. They can move off of something they're asking for. A team can offer a little more, and then all of a sudden you have a deal. But right now, this is a difficult situation for the Rockets. This is a team that is very much in turmoil with the way they're struggling. And then obviously the fact that Harden has started to vocalize his desire to leave town, which he hadn't really done before.
When you say there are several teams engaged, are you at liberty to say those teams or what some of the packages might look like?
Well, listen, I think, from the very beginning, teams like Philadelphia and Brooklyn and others around the league, Philly and Brooklyn are two teams, who are the, preferred destinations for Harden. And when a player of that caliber is available, you're going to check and see what the price would be. And so far, the price has been too high for everybody in the league. And I think Houston's believed it's had time on their side. Remember, Harden is under contract through next season. But, this is ultimately an untenable situation. They've given him their word that they're going to try to find a trade. I believe they have been trying to find a trade. But right now, and listen, I don't know that it helps Harden to not be playing at a high level, although, I think teams around the league know that, James Harden is still perhaps certainly an all-star level player, perhaps maybe an MVP level player when he is motivated and wants to play. It's clear right now that he's not fully engaged in that Rockets team. He essentially said so much, but I think he's speaking even louder with his play on the court.
Adrian Wojnarowski, you got to know.